HTML5 spectrum. Now the question is, what's next, right? And I'm going to close on this. In this chart, I'm taking the same spectrum that we saw at the beginning, and I'm coloring using the different level of like the status of the specification. So I have like first public working draft, working draft, last call, candidate recommendation, and recommendation. This is actually not a level. This is just like a stage. And you can see that some of the specs are already standards, already like finalized, like ECMAScript 5, like SVG. Others are still working draft. Others are in the middle between working draft and candidate recommendation. And I want to make very clear, we as Microsoft are committed to this, and we are investing a lot of time and resources to move this forward. We're not just waiting. So if you don't see futures in the browser, it's not because we don't care, but it's because we learned, as I said, a big lesson with i6, and before we implement something in the browser that might break in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, in 1 year, we want to be very serious and very careful about that. For example, there is one of the specification here, which is Web SQL database. I mean, it's great to have a database in the browser. It's great, right? And you can access the database from the client side. And in fact, like I think Opera has been the first to implement the Web SQL database specification in the browser. We look at the specification and we thought, actually, it's great the concept, but we don't agree with this specification. And so we work with like Mozilla on a new specification, which is called IndexedDB, and you will find both in this chart. And so moving forward, we are working on IndexedDB, and we are not going to implement Web SQL just for the sake of saying we implement everything. So it's just like an example of how we work in this space. When it's about what's next, it's really you. So in the last months, I've been lucky enough to work with some big